So thank you all for being here. We're talking about the future of AI. And we have two really distinguished, pretty fancy schmancy guests. And I would love for them to give you a light intro as to who they are and how amazing they are. And then we'll get right into it. This weather is amazing. I'm so happy. All right, so we'll start off with you. You can go for it.
Sure. So my name is Dennis. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called X.ai. We've spent the last short of 3 years in building this intelligent agent that can schedule meetings. And if we do really well, we'll be in market come early autumn.
Okay, awesome. How soon to market? Like, when can we expect?
So we've been in market with a closed beta for years to collect data and train on, but you should think August, and there'll be availability for you to go sign up, and hopefully I can squeeze out $9 from you, and we'll see how that goes.
All right, well, you have my $9. And please go for it.
Yeah, I'm Navid. I'm the CEO and founder of Angel AI, which used to be called Go Butler. And what we do, we help companies translate natural language queries into structured search data that they can actually send to an API. So basically, we want to help companies to be able to understand your intent just the way you think about it.
So then I guess my major first question is, are you helping create a really, really scary Black Mirror episode? Like, do I need to align myself with your companies in order to not be killed by the artificial intelligence race that you're creating? Just give us a heads up so we know what we're walking into.
So here's the facts. If you've done anything in AI over the last 3 years, all the press you read about one doomsday scenario over another is just silly, really. You should come work for us for 2 months and you'll figure out that there is no setting in the near-term future for where anybody is doing anything that will be scary. So just don't worry about that. You should worry about the hard work to kind of get to where we're at today. That is scary enough.
Yeah, I think like we're very, very far away from any sort of general purpose robot that is going to be evil, right? I think that, AI, machine learning are a great opportunity for us to really make the simple tasks that we're doing right now, much more efficient and really give us time back to to spend, on things that we should really be spending our time on, right? So I think right now the most of the applications that we're seeing are, just as ours, are very specific to solve a very specific task that, used to be done by a human, and now we can automate it, right? So I think, agreeing with Dennis, I think we're very, very far away from any sort of threats, and we should really focus on how AI could help our society and, help give us time back.
So with that being said, there's been talk in the terms of AI being the end of code, right? But I mean, as someone who is a developer as well, I understand that you have to reiterate automation. You have to do all these different items that do involve a degree of programming. So, where is the happy marriage, or what are the things you want to dismiss in terms of where code and AI come together and why there should be less of a concern about it being the end of code or the end of programming?
I don't think AI is really the end of much, and most certainly not the end of code anytime soon. So code have changed many times over just through the last decade and a half where we've been in business here. And I certainly did my CS degree, and we did assembly, then we did machine code, we did C, C++, and things certainly changed. But there's no neural net that will come up with some objective of what it wants to be. So you still need to program for what you want it to be and what you want it to achieve. It might look different in 10 years from now, but the end of code seems, again, almost along the silly line we talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, AI or machine learning is really more of a tool, to help us engineers to solve problems, just as other programming languages, right? So I think, maybe if you think like decades down the line, this could change, but for now, it's just another tool to help us solve the problems we want to solve in a more efficient manner.
And in layman's terms, or in high-tech, super amazing technology terms, how hard is it to really get to where you guys have grown in the businesses and in the services that you provide with your particular spin on AI technology? Like, what's the work? Like,
yeah, it's super fucking hard, and you're not going to solve it, and most of us are going to die trying. But it seems like a worthwhile endeavor. I'll give you just some raw metrics. We brought the team back together late 2013, and our intelligent agent does only one thing. We schedule meetings. Not 40 other things, just one thing, schedule meetings. Something which you can very easily understand. We have about 25 people alone just annotating data. And just to kind of annotate, say, temporal data or say location data, we have a 26-page guideline just for how to annotate a location. Not just mark up 15 Broad Street, 26 pages you need to understand. And this is just about collecting the data. We haven't made any product just yet. And that we've done for 2.5 years straight just to get the data set. And once you have the data set, then comes the challenge of figuring out what models can I potentially apply on top of this data set which I've acquired at very high cost. And that becomes equally hard at very high accuracy. So for us, certainly when we pitched our investors, it was one for where you should get used to the fact that we'll be sitting alone in that basement for 3 years with no revenue, no market, no customer, but on the other side, things might be fantastic. And that's certainly what we were willing to do. And I don't think there's any shortcuts to that, really.
So I think, first of all, anything that is going to have a long-term impact and is going to be defensible is going to be really, really hard, right? Things that are easy usually, typically are not ones that are very defensible. So, we spent about a year collecting data with GoButler where the people could text to buy anything that they want. And we started with the hypothesis, thinking that there should be an easier way to consume things, right? Like you have dozens of apps right now, and like when you go into an app, you have to go through a pretty tedious funnel, and it just takes you way too long to express a simple intent like, hey, I want to fly to San Francisco tomorrow, right? And we, spent a lot of money and time and had a lot of humans, just like you guys, as a dentist, to gather that data, and then later to annotate, to tag the data, so we can build models that interpret the data and are able to extract the intent out of a natural language query. And we just put our first kind of public demo on our website, which is for booking flights. So you can put something like a query in, like, hey, I want to fly to LA tomorrow from New York, leaving after 3 p.m., and it will actually, translate that data into structured search query that could be sent to an API for fulfillment. And we just started with flights, so I think there's a lot. This is the first vertical. We have data, on about 40 other categories, right? So it's just to prove agree with your point. It's really, really hard. It's going to take a lot of time. But the impact is going to be just as big as hard it is to build this. That's kind of how I see it.
And are there any current advancements that you're impressed with in the space that you're working with, not just within in terms of providing AI services or products that respond to business needs or consumer needs, but what are the exciting things that you're holding yourself up to or ready to exceed and go beyond with in terms of artificial intelligence?
So forget the science just for a second. I think what we've done is awesome, but I might be biased here. But one of the things that kind of surprised me the most is that if you go to, just for the fun of it, x.ai/love notes, what you'll see is thousands of people who kind of fall in love with Amy, our agent. But what I like the most about the commentary is that they never say app or it or software or application. They say her or she. She did a wonderful job. I'm amazed that Andrew was able to set up the meeting come Friday. And it was never, there was a bug or an error. It was always something for where they created this relationship with the agent. And I think the really funny thing is that it's not about me trying to fool people into believing that the agent is human. So we tell people up front, this is a machine. And that's the exciting part, that I tell you this is a machine, but I do a job so well that you want to treat it like a human. And that we can certainly see. And that have surprised me, that we were already there for where we can change that relationship between humans and software.
Yeah, so for me, I don't think it's a particular product that I'm really excited about. I think we still haven't seen that thing that is really, having a big impact on our lives. I think people like Dennis or like us are trying to solve a very specific problem, but it's not, at the point where like millions or billions of people are using it. I am excited about the general, noise that currently is being created about AI and about conversational commerce. Like when we started a couple years ago, no one was really talking about it, and like it obviously helps companies like ours to just progress, right? So, but I think we're still, I'm still personally waiting to see a product like that is AI fully AI powered and is really solving a problem that I can use on a daily basis. But obviously, I think, just as Dennis, we're really excited about what we are doing and we're focusing on what we're doing, right? But generally, I'm excited about the general interest in AI and conversational commerce. The fact that we're sitting here talking about this today, this beautiful setting, just says how, so many people here just wanting to listen to us, just says how interested people are in this space. And I think one thing that I'd like to get off my heart is, people should really, look forward to the advancements and to the, to how AI will be able to make our life easier, how it will be able to give us time that we can spend, on things that matter, like spending time with our families, our friends. It makes little sense to me why things that could be automated, whether it's in transportation, whether it's in hospitality, whether it's in, scheduling meetings, why they should be done by humans when there's so many other things that we should really be doing. And I think that people should go away from being scared about like the evil AI and the robots that are going to, kill all of us, but really look forward to the advancements that this can bring us, because it's going to happen for sure. Like I think it's inevitable, and we should think about how we should structure our society, our education, and our entire lives on with this new in this new paradigm.
And the way we think about that around the office, and I couldn't agree more, is really that most of the software that we all operate today will assist us in doing a job. So you want to do a new financial model for your startup, and you jump into Excel and you work it for hours, but you're the one doing the job. Excel is most certainly helping you in doing that job faster and more accurate. But I think there'll be a new setting for where we won't do the jobs. I'm going to tell an agent to do that job, whether it be something as simple as booking me a ticket to Miami over the weekend for less than $1,000, or set up a meeting with Tommy no later than next Friday, or doing my taxes, but something for where I actually don't want to do the job at all. I have the skill set, but I don't want to, so you do it. And I think that paradigm shift for moving away from being assisted to handing over jobs is going to be really exciting, and that's certainly what I'm looking forward to. It's not that I don't have the skill set to do the 40 chores in my inbox, it's just that half of them, I just don't want to.
One thing that I want to say is, like, if people ask me, oh, are you scared of AI, right? And then if I look at kind of the data that we've gathered, and if I look at things happening like with Microsoft's Taybot, I'm more scared about the humans and the way that they're treating and training the AI than the AI itself, because I think that AI right now is treated as like a little baby, right? And if you think about models that can be trained like Microsoft's Tay, they're not going to do anything unless we tell it to do that, right? And I think the reasons why something happened like Tay is because people told her specific things, and I've actually seen that. And sometimes when I look at our flight spot, well, people are telling it, and they're trying to abuse it or trying to make it fail, try to break it. I think, okay, treat it as something that can actually be useful and is really going to be a productivity driver, and don't be scared of it, and don't try to do things that you shouldn't be doing with it. I don't know if have you guys seen anything like that, or you think? Do
you know about the Microsoft agent that put out, which
yes,
turns complete bananas in 16 hours?
Because everybody on Twitter. So if people are not familiar with this, so Microsoft did this. It was a good project. First day, it was really cute. You could communicate. But Twitter, for whatever reason, the people that were communicating to this or just analyzing the conversations were so negative and hate-filled and snarky and really out of line.
That's what I'm scared of.
Right. That this bot just became the most snarkiest, jerky, racist bot out of nowhere, and it became instead of an amazing story of understanding human response and mechanism, it became a nightmare of, oh my gosh, what are we saying on this platform? Jesus of Nazareth, what are we doing?
And here's the fact, which is exactly as you said. It was not really a representation of technology, because it's in its most simplest form, just a pairing of input to an output that will mimic a conversation. And the output is just something which you and I generated. And you don't really need to go no further than Reddit or 4chan to get the same type of conversation. So it's not tech that failed. I think it's just perhaps Microsoft being a little
It's
bit
human
naive.
intelligence that kind of failed a little
And I
bit.
think, you know,
Yeah.
as I said, like AI is in, you know, it's treated like a baby right now. Over the next few decades, I think we have to develop, you know, security measures and rules, and like we're not there yet that we have that on like a general basis. But yeah, I think that's what scares me much more than the ability of any robot being able to kill us.
Thank you. That was a joke. I don't believe that robots are going to kill us, by the way. I just want to put that out there. But if it happens, not my fault. Don't put that on me. Don't come to me 60 years later on some, you said it. And then I think my biggest question, we don't have that much time, so I'm going to see if you guys can be quick, is how did you land here? Like, how brilliant does someone have to be to really jump into this? Or how, you're shaking your head like, I'm not brilliant, I'm just like amazing. Like, how did you land in this world that you're in? Like, give me a short story. Give me your life story in 1 minute between both of you.
That's quick. So I spent 20 years, sadly, because I'm getting older, in tech ventures. Our past venture was a predictive analytics venture. Our Pryor venture was a analytics company. Our Pryor company was a big data consultancy. So we certainly spent enough time around data to have some concept of what it can do for us. But you're absolutely right that it's a heavy investment. And if I look at the biggest unit within our 65-man band, that's the data science team. And we have more data scientists than we have engineers. And the engineers serve, in the rudest interpretation, really one purpose, which is as a backup for the scientists so they can run their models faster, better, and quicker into production. And it is an investment. And you need to seek out the best people. And as we just talked about, I think the best place to do that is in, New York, which is why we're here.
And so for me, I've always been very curious and really like a tech nerd. I think when I was 10 years old, I was starting to, program HTML websites for my parents' friends, make some money of that. And, I think, I like to, think and envision the world and the way it's going to look like in 50 or in 100 years, and really work on problems that are applicable to that. And I've worked in tech pretty much since I graduated from college, and it's like this is recent advancements, to be fair, in AI have allowed companies like ours to do what we're doing now. And I totally believe, even if people don't want to hear it, like 2/3 of the jobs are going to be automated right over the next 50, 60 years, and I want to do something that is has something to do with that, right? So, and I think at the end of the day, creating products that are truly making life simpler and that could potentially be used by millions and millions of people is just something that really, really excites me and has a real purpose to it.
So we have 30 seconds, so I'm going to make this quick. Thank you guys for paying attention to us. I know it's hot. You could be like in Central Park doing something amazing, but you're here in this park really enjoying this educational moment in our lives. But please say, where can people go to get what they can or find out more about you, your companies? Can you say that one more time?
You can find everything about us on the domain x.ai, whether that be our commentary on AI on the blog or even take a sneak peek at the product.
Angel.ai, very easy.
Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the weather.
Thank you.
Cheers.